How's it going? This is Dylan with DylanTalksTone.com, and we are getting a little bit further into our series on guitar setup. The very first kind of thing that people want to get into when they're doing guitar setups is their neck relief. That is kind of the baseline measurement that we start with. We got to make sure that the neck is straight, minus a little bit, and we'll show you what we mean by that in a second. Before we can start on anything else. The height of our strings away from the pickups, the height of the strings away from the neck overall, the intonation, the position of the bridge, all that stuff is really baselined on making sure that we have a good playing surface in relation to the rest of it. Okay, so that's where we really start with neck relief. Now, why do we need to worry about it? Well, there's a couple of reasons. When we have a guitar set up and strung up and to tension, wood obviously being what it is, it will want to sort of move towards the tension. Obviously when you pull on the string, right, because it's pulling, it's going to want to pull towards each other. So to counteract that, there's a couple of things that happen. One is obviously the strength and the design of the neck. That's number one. And number two, there is a truss rod in here. It's actually a threaded rod that actually is fixed on one end. It depends on the design, but for simplicity's sake and understanding it for now, let's say it's fixed on one end and there's a threaded nut on the other end, and we can actually tighten it. And when we tighten it, the center of the neck comes up and the center of the neck goes down when we loosen it. And when it goes down, it will allow the neck to come this way, and it moves around a little bit. So that's the one reason why we would need it, is to counteract the tension of the strings. The other reason we need it is because it's the only adjustment on the guitar that really moves by itself, okay? When we put our guitar away for 6 months and we come back, don't ever do that, play it every day. But let's say we have a guitar that we don't play very much, and we come back and it doesn't play the way we wanted it to play. Maybe it's harder to press down on the strings, maybe it buzzes a little bit. That's because the only thing that moves without us moving it, as far as major adjustments go, is the relief of the neck. Expansion and contraction because of humidity, raising and lowering, and because of heat and cold, make the wood move around, okay? And this happens to varying degrees depending on the type of wood it is. You got to be able to compensate for all that stuff, right? So we want to adjust it. So how do we adjust it? Well, we got to first of all understand what we're adjusting for. A lot of people think that because their action is too high and they have to press too hard, it means that they have to adjust their truss rod on their guitar to bring their string height down. Their action. I'm going to adjust my action, so I need to adjust my truss rod, and they go straight for the truss rod. It affects it a little bit, but only a very small percentage of your actual action. Your action is actually adjusted by the string height down here at the bridge. We're going to get into that in a different video. A factor of that is the neck relief of the guitar, but not a very big one. Okay, so don't think that you're going to completely adjust where your string height is with the action or with the neck relief of the guitar using the truss rod. That's not what it's for. What it's for is to regulate the tension between the strings and the wood itself so that we have a flat playing surface. Now it can't be 100% flat because we have to have room for the string to move around before it smacks the neck as we're playing it. So we got to have a little bit of relief in there. Typically, it's about 5 to 10 thousandths of an inch, depending on the setup of the guitar. This guitar we have set up at 10 thousandths of an inch, which is a little bit loose for some people, but because we have a Bigsby on it, and because it's a Tele, and because you know, it's made to kind of play harder, we want a little bit more room. So I'm going to show you how we adjust it. I use Cruise tools here at the shop. CruiseTools.com, you can check them out. They have everything in this little package that we need to work on this guitar. So we're going to use their little work capo. It's not really good for playing with, but what it does do is it helps us to fret this first note. So it holds it down against the fret. We use it as a third hand. And then down here where the guitar, the neck attaches to the guitar, not all the way here at the heel, but right here at the heel, then we go ahead and push down, and we check halfway between these 2 points, which is right about here, and I actually check a couple of frets typically, and we've got 10/1000ths of an inch, which is right about where I like it. Now you notice that I'm on a neck cradle right here. I don't typically like to do it this way. I actually like to do it in a playing position. For the purpose of the video and just to show you how to measure it, that's why it's on a neck cradle. But make sure that when you do this for real, that you're doing it in playing position. The weight of the neck, the way the guitar is sitting and everything, it can adjust it, it can change it by a couple thousandths of an inch. And as you've seen, we're only dealing with 10/1000ths anyway. It can throw off your whole adjustment. Again, first fret is fretted with your capo. Fret the last one with your finger right where it attaches to the body. And check your space at about halfway in between, which on this guitar, it's right about here. And I actually like to check a couple of frets just to make sure. And we're at 10/1000ths of an inch. What does that allow us to do? That allows us to play the guitar, allow the string to move. When we pluck the string right here, it does. It kind of gives it a bit of a whip. It sends it down to the nut and it comes back. It's called a transverse wave. That's how a guitar works, is with that transverse wave of that string. So we got to give that thing room to move. And that is how we do it, by adjusting neck relief. Now that our neck is adjusted, the neck relief is adjusted, we have our baseline that we can build the rest of our setup on. Now we may come back at the end and just look at where it is once it's all done and decide if we need to make some player adjustments. But as a baseline, fret this here, about 5 to 10/1000ths of an inch, depending on the setup. I like to use 10/1000ths on a Tele style guitar. And there's your baseline. Now, a lot of people will say, I'm getting some buzzing up here in my higher frets. Do I need to put more or less neck relief in the guitar? It depends on how the guitar is attached. It depends on how the neck is attached. On a guitar that is a set neck and it has what's called a tail on the fretboard that comes over the body of the guitar, almost like an acoustic guitar, then it's possible that because of the way the neck set works, that you can actually affect fret buzz up here in the higher frets just a little bit. But I would not do it as a rule. Usually when you have fret buzz up here, typically it's because of a fret problem, because that part of the neck does not move the same as the rest of the neck that is not attached directly to the body. Okay, so there can be a couple of different related problems in there that you may have to deal with. But overall, 5 to 10/1000ths of an inch, like on a Tele style, I like to use 10. And your string weight is going to matter there, you know, and how hard a guy plays. We'll get into player setup after, but we want to use that as a central baseline, and we'll continue to use this guitar for some of our setup videos. My name is Dylan. This has been Dylan Talks Tone, and this is the setup video on how to set your neck relief on your electric or acoustic guitar. If you have any questions, check me out at DylanTalksTone.com. You can check us out at Dylan Pickups on YouTube and all the other places that you find Dylan Talks Tone and Dylan Pickups all over the internet. And I hope to talk to you all soon. Have a great day.